Hello, welcome back to Soul and Sense. In previous episodes, we embarked on a quiet but powerful journey. We talked about what happens as we age and realized that relying solely on our children may not bring us the peace we imagined. We explored the dignity of self-reliance, the quiet power of financial independence, and the emotional freedom that comes from letting go. But that's not the end of the story, because now we move on to something deeper. How do we live well in the final chapters of our lives? How do we build a legacy that speaks to more than wealth? And how can we prepare, emotionally and practically, for what's coming? With peace, not fear. Here are part 3 and part 4 of our journey. Stay strong. Let's keep going. Together, in every parent's heart, there's a dream that one day, after decades of sacrifice, their children will care for them with the same love they once gave. It's a beautiful idea, a tender hope. But when that hope becomes a plan, and that plan becomes a dependency, something subtle and painful begins to shift. What starts as love can quietly turn into burden. You raise them, they owe you, or do they? It's true. We give our lives to our children. We carry them, raise them, teach them, and sacrifice so they can thrive. So it feels fair to expect that one day, they'll return the favor. But love is not alone, and parenting is not an investment expecting returns. If you see your children's success as your retirement plan, you're not just placing a burden on their shoulders, you're tying your emotional peace to their ability to provide. And in doing so, you risk turning a relationship of love into one of guilt, the quiet pressure children carry. They may not say it, but adult children feel it. The unspoken expectations, the worry every time they see your missed calls, the fear that they can never do enough. They work long hours, raise kids of their own, and still lie awake at night wondering, did I forget to check in with mom today? Can we afford to help dad with his bills this month? What if something happens when I'm not there? They want to help, they do. But help that's expected feels different than help that's freely given. Real stories, real strain. Mr. Jack, a 38-year-old office worker in Los Angeles, shares, "My parents live with me, and I love them deeply, but sometimes I feel like I'm being crushed. I pay their medical bills, their groceries, their outings. My wife and I fight about money almost weekly. I feel guilty because I want to help, but I also want space to breathe." Or Ms. Lynn, a 42-year-old in New York. "My mom calls me every morning, not to say hello, but to ask for something. It's like I'm her only lifeline. I don't mind helping, but I feel like I can't live my own life anymore." These aren't stories of neglect. They're stories of overwhelmed love, love that hasn't been given enough room to breathe. The risk to your relationship. The greatest risk of financial dependence is not poverty. It's the erosion of the bond between parent and child. When a child feels trapped by a parent's needs, resentment can grow. And resentment is the slow poison of any relationship. They might still call you, still visit, still help. But the warmth, the joy, the laughter, it fades. And in its place comes duty, obligation, a quiet sense of emotional fatigue, signs of unhealthy dependency. You feel offended when your child says no to a request. You find yourself manipulating or guilt-tripping them. "I changed your diapers, now you won't even drive me?" You expect them to sacrifice their time, money, or plans without question. You rely on them emotionally for everything, not just support, but validation, company, and decisions. These signs may be subtle, but they matter. They're signals that love is being suffocated by expectation, the gentle power of letting go. When we let go of control, we gain peace. When we stop expecting, we start receiving. And when we free our children from the invisible debts we think they owe us, something beautiful happens. They start showing up, not out of guilt, but out of love. Not because they have to, but because they want to. That is the difference between dependence and connection. And that is the legacy worth leaving. Coming up. Next, in the next part of our journey, we'll explore how to rebuild a sense of self-worth in old age, even when your role as a parent, worker, or provider has faded. Because your value does not retire when you do. You are still needed, still worthy, still powerful. Let's rediscover your purpose together, reclaiming self-worth in old age. At some point in life, the roles we once held begin to fade. The office no longer needs us. Our children no longer depend on us. Our bodies slow down. Our calendars quiet, and we are left asking a question few dare to speak aloud. Do I still matter? The answer is not only yes, it's always yes. But to believe that, we must let go of the old mirrors that once reflected our worth. Because in old age, your value doesn't come from how much you do. It comes from how deeply you are. The trap of role-based identity. For decades, you were known as something: a manager, a teacher, a builder, a business owner, a mother, a father, a provider, a caregiver. You woke each morning with purpose because others needed you. You had responsibility, status, contribution. And then, one day, you didn't. Retirement came, children left. The phone rang less, and slowly, invisibly, the world began to feel like it was moving on without you. It's painful, but it's also normal. And most importantly, it's not the end. You are not your job. You are not your role. You are not your career. You are not your title. You are not just a parent or a spouse. You are a whole human being with insight, experience, love, and the rare wisdom that only age can bring. The world might not rush to you as it once did, but that doesn't mean you're irrelevant. It means it's time to redefine what being needed truly means, redefining purpose in simpler ways. Purpose doesn't always look like a grand mission. Sometimes it's making tea for your neighbor, watering your plants every morning, teaching your grandchild how to hold chopsticks, sitting in silence with a friend who is grieving. These small acts are sacred. They are not less than, they are real life. You are not here to impress anymore. You are here to impact, gently, deeply, quietly. And sometimes, the quietest contributions echo the longest, discovering what's still inside you. Think of this stage of life as your second soul. You've spent the first half giving to others. Now ask, what do I want to learn? What have I always wanted to try? What stories do I carry that others might need? What would it feel like to create something just for me? Maybe it's painting, maybe it's writing, maybe it's sitting in a temple garden, just breathing. Maybe it's mentoring someone or volunteering twice a week. You don't need to be needed by many. Sometimes changing one life, including your own, is more than enough. Letting go of external validation. In your youth, praise came often. From your boss, from society, from your children. Now, the applause is softer, sometimes silent. And this is where your greatest growth begins. Learning to feel valuable without being validated. You don't need to be seen by the world to see yourself. You don't need to be constantly useful to still be worthy. True self-worth in old age is like a tree in winter. Not flashy, not flowering, but deeply rooted, and roots, as you know, are what hold everything up. The freedom to be fully yourself. One of the greatest gifts of aging? You stop needing to prove anything. You don't have to hustle, compete, or chase. You can finally be honest about what you love, about what you believe, about what you don't care about anymore. You've earned the right to be peaceful. You've earned the right to be simple. You've earned the right to just be. When no one's watching, what do you do? This is the test of true purpose. When no one is asking, paying, or praising, what do you still choose to do? That's the real you. Do you sing? Do you pray? Do you walk slowly and greet trees like old friends? Do you smile at strangers? Do you read the same book over and over? That is where your soul breathes. That is where your purpose hides, in plain sight, the wisdom you hold. Never underestimate the power of your story. There are younger people, some of them in pain and confusion and doubt, who need what you already know. You've survived heartbreak. You've seen failure. You've lived through wars, recessions, betrayals, regrets, awakenings. You carry maps inside your memory. Don't let them go to waste. Share them. Even if it's just one person, even if it's just your grandchild, your wisdom is not old. It's ancient, and ancient things are precious. Self-worth is an inside job. In this stage of life, the world might no longer call your name every day, but your soul does. It whispers, "You are still here," and that means something. Take walks, write letters, pray, create, not because it pays, but because it matters. You matter.